Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but it's not. Because I think the Elite going to WWE could very well be a possibility. Now, whether or not they should join the WWE, that's really the big question, because I feel like AEW is pretty enticing, to be honest. Like, this is not a knock on AEW whatsoever. I feel like AEW has a lot of good things to offer the Young Bucks, right? These guys have freedom. They're EVPs. AEW, Tony Khan, they're rich, right? They got money. Tony Khan's got money. He could shell out the money. So they're going to get paid very well. They go to a job where they can work less, work with their friends. If they want, they can work with New Japan Pro Wrestling and other wrestling companies. There is a lot that they can actually do if they so choose, right? If they want to stay in AEW, it's definitely a safe option. That's a safety net. There's a lot of incentives to working and staying in AEW. However, on the flip side of that, it is very interesting to see that reports are coming out that their contracts, WWE is interested. Their contracts are up relatively soon. Nobody genuinely believes that they'll leave AEW, but I think WWE, truth be told, could be a pretty enticing company for them to work for. Granted, I don't think they would be coming in with EVP titles. I don't think, I don't think they would have as much creative freedom. I genuinely believe that. But I think WWE is not stupid, right? It's 2023. These guys are the big names that exist outside of WWE. We knew in 2019, WWE had massive plans for Bullet Club to come in and do an invasion and all of these different things. And obviously, when you ignore the tribalism noise that exists out there, I'm just saying that it wouldn't be a bad idea for the Elite to actually consider an offer from WWE. That's the reality, just to at least consider it. I'm not saying they have to jump ship. I'm not saying, WWE's better or worse for them. What I'm saying is they should at least consider it. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, I think WWE can entice them with WrestleMania, right? This would come with a very, very big guarantee. But if you're bringing in the Young Bucks, if you're bringing in Hangman Page, if you're bringing in Kenny Omega, I think there is a lot of significance behind that. If you bring all four, maybe three, it really just depends. But I think at the very least, if Kenny and the Bucks were guaranteed a WrestleMania main event against a massive WWE faction, like the Bloodline, or maybe like, Judgment Day or whatever it is, if they really wanted to put them in the WWE, if you want to bring them into the WWE, the one thing that they haven't done is main event or WrestleMania. And as a group, I think that could be really significant. I really think WWE offering them WrestleMania main event is a very big deal. But obviously, I say this all the time. If you're a wrestler, if you're in the business, if you're going to be a free agent, the best thing you can do, especially with how healthy the wrestling industry is now, it's a very intelligent idea to at least hear all of the offers on the table. Regardless if it's MLW, Impact, regardless of what company it is, WWE, AEW, you should be listening to every offer, because now we're at a stage in the wrestling industry where it is so healthy that there are other major players in the game other than just WWE. And these other companies are able to fork over money. This is why, even with them being in AEW, you can never technically rule out them leaving AEW and going to New Japan, because New Japan is still a major player, and they went to New Japan, and they probably feel good about what they've done in New Japan, right? WWE needs to offer an undeniable amount of money. Without a doubt, before you could even look at any other perks for joining WWE, the money has got to be to the point where it's like, all right, you're intriguing me, right? But I can't speak for these guys. I can't speak for wrestlers. Obviously, there is more to life than money. And these guys, like I said earlier, they get to work with their friends. They work a less schedule. They're EVPs. There's a lot of freedom that comes with them working AEW, 100%. And I truly believe that leaving AEW could actually be detrimental to AEW, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if WWE wants to bring them in, undeniable money, main event of WrestleMania, you got to guarantee them something absolutely massive. The money, the WrestleMania moment. Not everybody lives to get that WrestleMania moment, but if you've watched wrestling for all your life, you know how big WrestleMania is. It could be really enticing. But really, one thing I don't think a lot of people talk about enough is WWE's ability for licensing, right? WWE builds all of these intellectual properties. They've done a fantastic job of licensing them out for merchandise and for toys and all of these other different things. WWE has a collection of partnerships with other companies that are beneficial. And the reality is, a lot of people should be considering using their platforms to as like a launching pad, right? For what happens after next. Because in the wrestling industry now, you don't want to be 50, 60, 70 years old taking bumps, hurting yourself. What are you going to do after, right? And if you're smart with your money, if you invest your money, if you're getting residual income, good royalties, things like that, maybe it's not a concern. But I think WWE, because of its brand recognition, their ability to license out their products and their brands and IPs, I think there is a significance of being associated with WWE in general, right? Just by being associated with them, not saying it's guaranteed money, but you can use it as a launching pad to do whatever you want to do after the fact. I also look at WWE and their potential launching pad for NXT Global. We'll see how committed they are to the global expansion. We know Japan was a big part of that. Having the Elite join WWE, getting a massive bag, and WWE saying, listen, we're looking at developing the future of pro wrestling in other countries. You guys have a lot of relationships and a lot of experience being in Japan. Maybe WWE can entice them with an offer, because WWE ain't going to make them EVPs. I don't think of that. But I think maybe WWE is saying, listen, NXT Japan, we need guys to run that. We need guys to build those bridges and be part of those conversations and be part of the development of our global expansion. And I think that right there could actually be a really enticing offer, right? In a way, it gives them a little bit of power without necessarily being EVPs of the WWE. Granted, it's something I feel like WWE would have to offer if they are truly trying to expand in Japan. However, now it might make a lot of sense as to why I say the Elite leaving AEW could be a massive, massive, massive L to AEW. AEW losing Young Bucks and Kenny, if they were to go to WWE, get the massive main event, get the massive bag of money, and they were at the forefront of WWE's expansion with NXT Global going into Japan and growing that international market, if they were to do that, I would have to assume the AEW relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling would go bye-bye. And I think that is one very, very, very unique thing for AEW, is the fact that they do work with other companies and WWE doesn't. If WWE is looking at expanding the NXT Global brand, acquiring a wrestling company in Japan to help with this could make a lot of sense. WWE having a partnership with New Japan could make a lot of sense. It would really depend on what WWE's overall vision is for their NXT Global expansion. But I'm just saying, if AEW doesn't have the Elite and if they don't have the New Japan brand being associated with them in partnership, I don't know if a lot of people would be genuinely loving AEW, because I see the big complaint is that AEW doesn't offer the best stories, but AEW does a really good job of being an alternative in terms of business practices. WWE is more closed in. AEW is like, we'll let our guys do this. We'll let our guys do that. You want to work New Japan? Okay, as long as I approve it, you're good, right? If the Elite were to take that away from AEW, that would be really significant. But again, I really think they would stay with AEW. I do. But I just think there's a lot of reasons why they could sign with WWE and why WWE could entice them. I think a lot of people are just simply ruling them out because they're WWE. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, there is a lot more on the table if WWE wants them, and if they want to go to WWE, there could be a lot of enticing things. And last thing I'll mention too is being the Elite, right? I wouldn't want being the Elite to go out. I wouldn't want it to be removed, deleted, or anything like that. I would love for being the Elite to be something that they're allowed to do. And if they allow Young Bucks to do it without any, creative BS, like, I'm assuming WWE just naturally, because of how they are, they're the opposite of AEW. AEW lets them get away with things. I think WWE might try to be a little bit more of a micromanager in that aspect. But if the Young Bucks can still do these things, it makes a lot of sense. And then if you throw in, hey, you don't have to work house shows, but if we reach a significant market like Madison Square Garden or, whatever, if we're doing these bigger house shows, we want you there, but you get to work less. You'll just work TV and occasional house shows. I think that could be a pretty good offer, right? It's so interesting to see what's going to go down, because I never thought Cody Rhodes would leave AEW, especially when you looked at the reports about he was going to stay. AEW wanted him. There's no issues backstage. Then every other day there was like alternative posts about what was really happening. It was such a big confusion. I think the Elite leaving AEW or staying with AEW might garner the same reaction, maybe even messier, because there's, Kenny, the Bucks, and technically even Hangman Page. It's going to be interesting. But I do think if they left AEW, it would kill AEW. I do think it would hurt them very, very significantly. On the other hand, I don't think they would want to do that. I think these guys really care about the professional wrestling industry, but you never know. And I'm just saying that there's two companies and they both offer really good stuff. And that's the cool thing about wrestling, man. Before AEW, that wasn't really a choice. And I feel like if AEW never came around, I really do believe they would have taken the offer in 2019 to go to WWE. But now that AEW exists, if WWE really wants them, I think it's going to be very difficult. And I think a lot of people are going to get that confused. I think it's going to be very difficult for WWE to sign the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. But if they want to, I think they have what it takes to get them away, but it's not going to be cheap and it's not going to be easy. I want to know what you guys think.